Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Bleed Los Podcast Live. This week's episode of the podcast is presented by our partners at BetOnline. BetOnline is the fastest and the easiest way to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, and events with the first market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the online resource for all of your sports information from live in-game betting, props, and futures. So if you head on over to BetOnline's website today, which is betonline.ag, and use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet, if you use our promo code, which is BELIEVE, BLEAV 50, the number 5, the number 0, and you will receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. I wish that this week wasn't as somber as it is. 1000 Vin Scully Avenue in Los Angeles, California will never be the same again. It's crazy, dude. Growing up, I'm not as old as you guys, no offense. But growing up, the thing that's weird about growing up is things like losing your childhood idols. For instance, for me, the big one was Kobe. When Kobe died, that one was a brutal one because I was the 99 2000 series. I mean, I was a kid. Now in my mid 30s, losing Vin Scully is losing a piece of my childhood. Like, it brought back a bunch of memories of like my first memories with my dad, and becoming a fan. All the homies listening to it, even though we didn't speak English and didn't understand the English, like that. Vin was a part of that. So first and foremost, our deepest condolences to Vin Scully's family, to everyone with the Dodgers organization. But it's kind of crazy now in retrospect, right? Because obviously the benefit of hindsight's always 2020 with everything. The impact that Vin Scully even has, even on the young guys today. So I wanted to hear from you guys. I'll start with Alicia. Alicia, how are you feeling about the Vin thing, and how kind of how just what's the vibe?
Uh, I don't even know where to start. I cried. I when it happened, I was in a movie theater. Walked out of the movie theater, phone was going nuts, and Vin Scully. And you mentioned your childhood. I mean, just for the past since it's happened, everything you've been hearing about Vin is true. Everybody in Southern California, you don't even have to like baseball, knows and Vin is such a part of our lives, generational in my family, right? In a lot of families. And the LA Times, the cover, soundtrack of our city. We are so spoiled to have someone like Vin Scully in our lives, in our history books. That'll never happen again. And to be so good at what he did, on the mic, but also just the humanitarian that he was, the kind man, the gentleman, the scholar, the family man. I mean, you don't hear one bad story about Vin Scully, and it's just what a legacy. So, yeah, personally, I cried. I dreaded it, right? I mean, we've heard that his health was failing, um, stopped tweeting, and I just was dreading it. And even though 94 is such a good life, such an excellent life, I just still, you don't want it to happen. Our heroes are immortal. And it just, I'm still, I mean, it still makes me super sad. And when I go back to the stadium this weekend, and I know I'm gonna cry again because he's been, and yeah, so I mean, I could just keep rambling. It's a heartbreak. It's a heartbreak.
Juanito?
Uh, so I was also in the movie theater when I got the news, and I was not in the same movie theater that
We
Alicia
went
was in.
together. Don't start
Liars!
with
You didn't
And,
invite
and
us to the
by the
movie.
way, Alicia, your hair looks beautiful. I love the shine on it.
Wow. Oh my.
You forgot to
Uh,
mention her eyebrows, bro.
well, that was gonna come later on in the show.
Okay.
I have to pay. I only have like two
I,
compliments, so
I,
I have to spread
fair,
it out.
fair.
So I was in the movie theater, and I turned on my phone, and Luckily, it was just Wendy and I were the only ones left in the movie theater because I'm one of those guys that waits until all the credits run. So I turned my phone on, and all of a sudden my phone blows up, and it's message after message. And all of that was like, the first message I saw was from my compadre, and all it said was, damn Vin. And I knew. I knew immediately when he said, damn Vin, that he had passed away. So I looked it up, and I just like sat there for like a minute. And then all of a sudden, I started bawling. And I kept looking at Wendy, going, I don't know why I'm crying. I don't know why I'm crying. It's not like I ever met Vin Scully.
Right.
It's not like, but and she was so great. She was comforting me, but I just could not stop crying. I got home and I watched the tribute that Spectrum. First of all, the show that Spectrum put on after it, like, there was no highlights of the game. It was just all Vin. I did not expect him to go 2 hours. I was watching until midnight, and I have to say, it was a cathartic experience for me. I didn't realize it, but I was grieving at that time, listening to the guys that they had come on the show and talk about Vin Scully. I was grieving. So I was just really, really surprised towards my reaction. And I still don't know why I reacted that way. I will tell you this. The next day, Wendy went to work, and all her coworkers, she works in an office full of women, they were all talking about how their significant others were all crying because Vin Scully died. And they just didn't understand. Like, these obviously are men who don't show emotion. So they were very perplexed as to who the hell is this Vin Scully guy that created such a reaction from men? And I think that's something that I think a lot of us are talking about, when Vin Scully passes away, is just the impact. And I think you mentioned it too, Alonso, is you realize the impact that he had in the city, because for the first time ever, I think Twitter was not a hellhole. I didn't see any, I mean, everything was just people expressing, grieving, mourning the loss of Vin Scully.
What about you, Roger?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like, it's gonna happen someday, right? But even still, it's still like a shock. Like when you hear it, like we got that text and we saw it, it's like you just get like that gut punch, right? And watching the game, and it's like after that, like I was just watching the game, kind of felt like just kind of like numb, just watching the game, like okay, whatever's going on, right? And that's and it's weird, right? Because so many people felt this way, and I didn't have the honor of actually knowing Vin Scully, but so many people that did, and a lot of people like me that never really got to meet him, but we feel like we knew him, like he was a part of our family. Because I mean, my entire life he's been a part of my entire life. I can say that truthfully, because since I was a little kid watching baseball games, who was on the TV screen or on the radio? Vin Scully, right? So it's like that's where it's kind of like it's so weird, like just to he was like people say like a grandpa or an uncle or something, like just to lose that person, and just everything that he meant to the city. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, just I mean, I think it impacted pretty much. I mean, everybody, even not just baseball fans. Like he did more than baseball. He did football. He did golf. It's just a whole sports thing. Just and like I said, just not even just Dodger fans, just across the country. Probably across the world. It's it's a huge loss.
Well, and so I was in the shower, and I got out of the shower, and I had a bunch of text messages. It was late here since I'm an hour ahead of you guys. And I look, and first one I got was damn Vin, kind of like the one that Juan got from a buddy of mine, and right there I knew, right, but kind of like with the Kobe thing, like I was driving back from Idaho when Kobe passed, and it's one of those that's like, whoa, like Kobe isn't supposed to die, Vin Scully is not supposed to die, and yeah, I knew he was 94. Like let's be frank here, that's a great life lived, but 94 is 94, right? But still, even my wife was like, "Are you okay? Like, are you like?" She could tell that I had just cried, and she knows I don't cry. So what's this leaky substance that's coming out of your face? Are you
It's
okay?
It's the Seinfeld episode,
Yeah.
right, Alonso?
What is this? What is happening? I'm leaking all of a sudden. But at the same time, I watched what the homies over at Sportsnet LA did for a little bit, and that well done, by the way, with how quickly they put it together, and also class by the San Francisco Giants.
Yes.
It turned out that they went into the press box because they wanted to put something up on the jumbotron there at AT&T Park, but they didn't want to because they didn't know if the players knew. They didn't know, all those things. So first and foremost, class. All things considered, it's a rivalry, but still class all along. But I remembered that story that Vin talked about before he retired about how, if God willing, if it all pans out, he'll go during a Dodgers-Giants game. And the irony of that was like, you know what? If there's a guy that's going to pull that off, it's going to be Vin Scully. Because, as soon as that dude was leaving, everyone was sad. But, he said something eloquent to everyone around him about how, hey, we'll be back together, friends, and we'll see you again. So, and that's Vin Scully in a nutshell, right? But he made everyone feel like a friend, even though you never met the guy. And that's huge. And it's funny because today, I have someone I work with here. She's super younger than I am. And she was like, hey, who's this Vin Scully guy that everyone's talking about? And, she's 20. So let's be fair here. And I had to explain it to her. And she's like, dang, that's kind of a big, a big deal. But they haven't really had anyone for this generation that's like a Vin Scully, right? There's Joe Davis. But there isn't Vin Scully. There isn't Bob Shepard. There isn't the original Joe Buck. You know what I mean? So it's, yeah, man, it's weird. Growing up's weird. And I absolutely hate it. So, but either way, we're doing a show on Monday that's just going to be all about Vin, and I'm really looking forward to the guests that we're going to have talking about Vin. So join us. If you're joining us on the live here, we'll stop the pity party and the crying party because Alicia just fixed her eyebrows.
There are some comments.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're chiming in, send over the comments. And to Simeon's point, 100% right. Felt like we were losing a friend. And if you are going to the game on tomorrow, get there early because there's going to be a tribute to Vin. Parking's going to be a pain in the ass, so definitely get there early and just take it all in because the Dodgers also have done a fantastic job, even though they're not at Dodger Stadium, of doing a tribute there for Vin too. They did the Corona there with where Vin's name is there on the loge, and even that's just been classy. So I can only imagine how classy everything's going to be tomorrow. So get there early. Chime in though for sure. We want to have all the interactions today because the next thing we're going to talk about is what happened on Tuesday. Hey, remember that time I told you guys Juan Soto wasn't going to be a Dodger, Juan?
Yeah, I remember.
Do you remember? Well, now he's a Padre.
Yes.
And I'd also said he was probably going to be a Padre too. And it turns out the whole reason that he's a Padre is no one was going to outbid AJ Preller. But they also got Josh Bell. So they actually turned a negative into a positive, and they also got some other guy named Josh Hader, who I don't think anyone really knew he was on the market. That deal came completely out of nowhere, and now the Padres have kind of stacked up. Let's be real. They're not going to win the division. They're too far back. There's no chance. Unless the Dodgers suck, there is no chance they're going to win the division. But now the little brother to the south is making some noise, so I kind of wanted to hear your take on what the Padres did, Juan.
Look, the Padres won the trade deadline. I mean, they did what they had to do. What was the one thing that the show pod struggled with was offense. And so they got Soto. And to be fair, Alonso, you did say he's going to the Padres or he's not getting traded at all.
Yeah.
So you hedged your bet. You're a good gambling man. And that's probably something you learned from Bet Online.
Well done.
So the fact that they got Soto, but the fact that they got Josh Bell, that's the one where I'm like, damn, man. Because not only that, but we even talked about Brendan Drury that they got. So now all of a sudden they stretched out their lineup. Hosmer, who had been struggling, is no longer there, right? So now and Tatis hasn't even come back yet.
Right.
So, I mean, that lineup is going to be stacked, and their pitching is good too. Hader, it's so funny. If you look at the numbers with Hader almost had the same numbers as Rogers.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were able to flip him for that, I found that interesting. I think what the show pods did, it excited me because the National League playoffs are going to be brutal. And the fact that with the new playoff system, for those of you who don't know yet, right? You got four, you're going to have 3 wild cards, and then the team that's the third division record winner with the worst record is going to be in this round. They don't reseed. So whoever wins the National League East, I think is going to dodge a bullet in the second round, because they're either going to get Milwaukee or one of the other wild card winners.
I haven't heard
But the
anyone call Milwaukee
Dodgers,
in so long.
but the Dodgers, they're going to either end up getting the Mets, the Show Pods, or the Braves in the second round. And
By
that's
the way,
brutal.
a Braves team that loaded up too.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's... I know this is the first year they're doing it, but and the reason why they did it is they didn't want the top seed having to face a division winner. But I think maybe towards down the line, we're going to have to revisit this and maybe do a reseed, because the fact that the Dodgers are going to get either the Mets, the Braves, and the Show Pods in the second round just sucks, because the Padres have that loaded lineup. The Braves, I think, are just a very well-balanced team. You know, and you saw what they did to us last year, right? And the Mets have Scherzer and DeGrom. And everybody goes, oh, whatever, they don't have enough offense. Let me remind you of something. The Nationals had 2 guys named Scherzer and Strasburg, and they basically beat us with 2 guys. So having 2 horses can matter. So I am very excited. In the American League, it's obvious it's going to be the Astros and the Yankees. I mean, I know the Twins made some moves, but what the Astros and the Yankees did, look, you just go ahead and just skip forward to the ALCS. But the National League, man, the National League playoffs are going to be a gauntlet. I want to acknowledge some of the comments that we've got here. Our boy Efren is back. Efren coming from San Francisco, letting us know the Dodgers have arrived and they'll be ready for the series tomorrow at the Show Pods. My boy Sports Empire. I'm with you, Sports Empire. I too am very surprised not only how Vin Scully's death affected me, but how it has affected others. And then that guy, Philip Lopez. Hey, guy, I'm surprised you're watching and not watching the Raiders, because I hear the Raiders are winning like 125-0 right now. So
Congratulations, you're about to win the preseason.
exactly, we're preseason champs. So I'm gonna Alicia take it from there. What was your reaction to the trades?
Okay, so I would like to defend myself, Alonso. I didn't.
Yeah, eyebrows look great.
Fantastic. Magnificent eyebrows.
Yeah.
Eyebrow game on fleek.
We're gonna have to tell everybody why
The
you guys.
inside joke.
No. We're just
I didn't want Soto. I didn't want to give up what the Padres gave up. I was talked into it with the last time we were together because, you know, generational, once in a lifetime. And I'm like, well, okay, that's cool. But we are spoiled Dodger fans.
Yeah.
I feel like every time we start panicking, it's because we're so used to winning. We're so used to being there in the playoffs. I think we're going to be just fine. The Padres are not our rival. Can we just at least like enjoy how the Dodgers just swept the Giants again? They have not done this to the Giants since like the 70s. I don't remember ever dominating like this. Like I'm just so.
I think it was 1974. I think.
Yeah, I don't.
But
I'm not
look,
that-
Alicia, just to clarify, I don't think any of us on here said we wanted Soto. What we're saying is, of the options that were out there in the trade deadline, if you're going to go after somebody, go after Soto, because Ohtani was not available, and in my opinion, there wasn't a pitcher that was going to be a difference maker. Now, the Mariners gave up a lot to get Luis Castillo. I don't think anyone expected the Mariners to go that hard to get Castillo. Honestly, to tell you the truth, Alicia, I don't think the Dodgers were in on Soto as hard as everyone says. I think Rizzo used the Dodgers to raise the price on Soto to make AJ Preller pay up. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, some people have better agents, much better than my former agent. But I
911, I'd like to report a murder.
You never saw that bus coming.
I'm happy for all parties involved. I truly believe that the Dodgers are where they are supposed to be. We are just stacked with talent. We are waiting for our injured birds to come back. Like it's going to be fine. Now, is it exciting? Yes.
Yeah.
Especially because the Padres, they really want to be our rival. And is it going to be exciting this weekend? Hell yeah. But it's still not something that I'm worried about. I mean, remember the beginning of last season? How the Padres fans, was that when they were making the rap songs? I mean, where's the new rap song now that Soto is there? Like,
oh, it's coming. I'm sure
coming.
they're going to make one. They're going to make
There's a
one.
mixtape coming, I'm sure.
It's entertaining. It's not a rivalry. I did not want Soto. I do remember the last time Soto was here, the Dodgers held him to 2 hits. So I'm not, is he great? Yes. Do we need him? No. You see my difference? Like,
No.
And I'm glad we didn't have to give up as much as the Padres gave up. And you know what? I'm not like an idiot. I respect what the Padres have done because it did, they're going all in, right?
Yes.
They want to win now. They're not waiting for the farm system to come through. And respect. So this is going to make it more fun, more entertaining. Absolutely. But I'm definitely not worried. The Dodgers are the Dodgers. And especially, we were just talking about win for Vin. Like it's all this season. It's supposed to happen and it's on its way.
Roger.
Look at him chomping at the bit. Come on, baby face.
I mean, when you look at ultimately what the Padres paid for Soto, I mean, if Soto's going to be that guy, right, for the next 10, 15 years, it's nothing, right? I mean, they gave up Mackenzie Gore, C.J. Abrams, Hassel, a couple other guys, right? But what Soto's supposed to be, yeah, it's probably not a lot, right? I mean, if I think what they were asking of the Dodgers, we always kind of think that what they're asking of the Dodgers, I think probably is higher because I think probably some of the Dodger prospects, like I'm sure they're asking for Miguel Vargas, right? We already saw Miguel Vargas come up already and already start producing. We know the guy that Miguel Vargas is going to be. And I will say that Miguel Vargas is probably going to be better than any one of those Padres prospects at the end of the day. So I'm glad that they wouldn't ship out someone like Vargas. But yeah, I mean, it's cool for the Padres to reload and try and make a wild card run. And it's for the wild card. Like I said, and good thing it's 2 out of 3 this year because if it would have been previous, it would have been one game. They would be playing. They would have made all these moves for one game. Who knows what's going to happen in the wild card, but we'll get a preview this weekend. They still don't got Tatis, and that's another thing too. Tatis, how many years has he been up? Like 4 or 5 years now, and how many years has he been injured? He always gets injured in every year, and he's one of those cases too where they're kind of fluke injuries or these weird things, but that's the thing that happens to certain players. They just get these fluke injuries, and Tatis is one of those guys that's shown. He gets hurt. So that's another thing to consider with the Padres. You don't know if you're going to have him at the end of the year. So, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be exciting, but, I'm still not – I still think the Dodgers are going to be on top. And I'll say it right now. Dodgers are winning 2 out of 3 this weekend, so.
Look, I'm not going to let you talk about that Tatis like he's a scrub, dude. I was old enough to remember when he hit one out of Dodger Stadium. The guy is good. Now there's a validity to your injury.
He's got these fluke injuries, and that's
and it happens. But if he's healthy, dude, that guy's a good player, and that's a guy who could hurt your
he's
hurt
a
your
good
team.
player. But has he really hurt the Dodgers? Where it really
he hit one out of the
no,
stadium.
where it actually hurt the Dodgers to beat the Dodgers where it mattered. He hasn't.
Right, but here's baseball, dude. Baseball's a team sport, right? It's not like it's basketball where all of a sudden Tatis is going to take over the game.
Yeah.
Tatis has a much different lineup now that he's surrounded by than the last time the Dodgers saw the Padres in the playoffs. All I'm saying, man, is there's nothing wrong with acknowledging that the team is good.
Yeah,
They're good. They're good. But do I think they're gonna beat the Dodgers?
they're
No.
better.
Hell no. I'm a Dodgers fan, dude. I'm not gonna say that they're gonna beat the Dodgers because they're not.
Okay, that's fine.
I will say this. I said it on Twitter. I think the Nationals got fleeced. I
Yeah.
honestly think they got fleeced. And good for AJ Preller, because the thing is I think it was Efren that said it, that it wasn't that they couldn't get outbid. AJ Preller wasn't going to get outbid. Whatever that deal was going to happen, no matter what. The reporting is that the word on the street is that they wanted Tony Gonsolin as a part of that deal, and the Dodgers just weren't going to do it. Cool. And here's the thing. Again, I said it. The Dodgers don't need Juan Soto. They don't need him. They still don't need him. Do they need Josh Bell? No, because Freddie Freeman's the first baseman for the next 6 years. So at the end of the day, it was attrition, right? There was other needs that the Dodgers needed, and that's why they didn't go out and do that deal. Good for the Padres, because obviously they can't develop talent, and that's the thing, right? Is the Dodgers have kind of reset the market as far as what expectation is from an organization for how you develop talent. Because if you go look at the top 20 right now of all the Dodgers prospects, holy shit, like they're all good. And there's some guys that come out of the woodwork like Gavin Stone. We keep disparaging Gavin Stone's poor name because no one's heard of this guy, but that's how good the Dodgers are. They have all this talent that they develop. And the Padres were. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, do you really think the Dodgers were in on it? Like, part of me thinks if they really wanted Soto, they would have given the Nationals what they wanted.
If you Andrew Friedman himself said it. If there's a generational talent like a Juan Soto available, you at least make the call. Hey, what's it going to take for us to do a deal? You make the call, right? And they already have a proven track record of doing business with the Nationals. So there's already a relationship there. So you make the call and you just find out and you put out the feeler. If they come back with, hey, we want your top 5 and Tony Gonsolin and Justin May, see ya. Like, we're not talking anymore, bro. But I mean, at the same time, you at least you do the diligence. And once you do the diligence, if it's not going to be a fit, it's not going to be a fit. Because here's the thing. Juan Soto still has to sign an extension at some point, right? Whether it's next year, whether it's the year after that, at some point you got to sign an extension. And Andrew Friedman himself said it. You have to look at the future when you're making those sorts of deals. Because of Juan Soto, if he's going to be as good as they're saying he's going to be, which I think the general consensus is that will be how good he's going to be, that's going to be a $40, $50 million a year guy if he wants a short deal, right? Do the Dodgers really want to pony out $40, $50 million a year for 5 years for a guy? I don't know. I don't know if they would, but that's the risk assessment, right? So that's what the Padres have to deal with now. They have to pay that guy at some point, and they have to sort that out. They're going to have to pay Josh Bell because we already kind of know what Josh Bell's supposed to be too, right? Go ahead, Alicia.
I totally just want to agree with Philip Lopez. Now we can focus on locking up Trey. Pay Trey. Like, let's do this already.
No, I agree.
And let's start treating Urias a little better.
Well, the point I was going to make is sometimes the best trades that you make are the trades that you don't do. And I think in this case, this was the best case scenario because not only was it too much, but also you have other guys in the pipeline. Miguel Vargas came up, right? Yeah. And my man said so himself. I want to hit a home run on my first at bat. He almost did. In 29 other stadiums, that's a home run.
Yeah.
So and he stole a bag right after he got that ground rule double. So I think the farm is okay. And we've said it, with having those guys on here, with even how they carry themselves, the Dodgers are going to be okay. Yeah. I'm not worried about that. At the end of the day, though, I agree. They need to pay Trey. And if they don't pay Trey because he doesn't want to be here or whatever the case may be, at the end of the day, it's a business. That's fine. But they at least have to try to lock him up. I mean, it's going to market. There's no chance they're going to try to sign an extension now unless they give him a groundbreaking offer like how they did kind of like a Mookie Betts situation. But I just don't see that happening with everything the way that it is, at least right now. I know that might seem a little gloom and doom, but at the end of the day, that's the best shortstop in baseball. At me if you want. I don't care. I was curious, though. I wanted to ask you guys about Joey Gallo. I jokingly said that they might get Joey Gallo, and damn it, they called me on my joke. They got Joey Gallo. Before we talk about him as a Dodger, Michael Kay kind of went in on him the other night, talking about how more or less, he didn't feel like he could safely walk around on the streets, and the fans were kind of brutal with him. Alicia knows this firsthand because New York is its own beast. It's brutal. I kind of wanted to hear from you guys, like what kind of your take was on that, and do you think it was kind of out of line, Juan?
You know, that was the first thing I thought. And then I was talking to my compadre, and my compadre asked me a very good, I think he brought up a good point. What was Michael Kay asked before he gave that answer? Because if Michael Kay was directly asked, do you think the fans ran Gallo out of New York? Then I can understand. I still feel like, dude, you don't have to go in that hard on the guy. I mean, the guy's having a brutal season. He's not even on the team anymore. Like, why do you have to make that parting shot? And anybody saw, and I know Babyface, I know you read that interview that he gave. I felt so sorry for Gallo. I was just like, and this was before I knew he was coming to the Dodgers. I was like, just get him out of there. Just get him to another team. For those of you who haven't read the interview with Gallo, he basically said he doesn't leave his apartment in New York because he's afraid of what people are going to say to him. I've seen the videos on social media. There was one video where a guy's on the phone going like, watch, he's going to strike out. He's going to strike out. And Gallo strikes out, and it's like they're making fun of the guy. And it's like, look, we've seen it with Max Muncy, right? And I think Muncy and Gallo is a perfect comparison. Does anybody think Muncy is struggling because of a lack of effort? The guy is trying.
Yeah.
It just happens. Baseball is a cruel game. Baseball doesn't make any sense. Now, the one thing I am grateful for is that Dodger fan has not treated Max Muncy, even though I do see a couple of tweets of people saying Muncy needs to go down. But I haven't seen anything super heinous towards Muncy. And it seems like Gallo was doing it. Go ahead, Alicia.
Maybe that's because we don't allow booing our own team at Dodger Stadium, unlike New York and Philly. It's true. Like, that's what I don't want that precedent. I don't want it to be normalized. You guys think I'm kidding, but look at how the empathy we have for this guy. You think he wants to be the slump, like the bum, like the mush? No. Every guest we've had on that's either played or worked on the field with the players, do they not say the same thing? They're human. And do you think that New Yorkers did right by their guy by booing him, like heckling him when he left his apartment? How is that helpful? I feel so bad for the guy. And I'm hoping that this is a better change of scenery. It's happened before, right? You go to a new place and you get the Dodgers know what they're doing. They obviously saw something. And if it doesn't work out, I mean, what are they going to, they didn't lose, the farm, literally. I don't know. I just feel like today, did you guys see how they got him out at home? And I felt so bad for him because how great would that have been? Why did Dino send him? Like
he got a hit already though, so.
Well, because that's Dino. That's Dino.
Look, Dino's aggressive. Dino's aggressive. And it took a good throw to get him out.
Yeah.
Know your audience. I mean, he's not the fastest dude. It wasn't Turner. It wasn't Mookie. Like, and again, I have nothing but love for Dino. I'm just saying, let's get this guy, put him in situations where he remembers what it's like to be successful, because that's the culture of the Dodgers organization. Am I wrong? That's what they do.
No. I said this to someone the other day. I think Gallo's going to be Muncy 2.0. I honestly think that, because the Dodgers fixed Max, and it's not like Max was a scrub, right? He's talked about it. Joey Gallo isn't a scrub either. I mean, that dude hit 40 bombs, I think, 2 years ago. So he's not a scrub. Go ahead, Roger.
No, I mean, he's hit 40 home runs twice, I think, in his career. Yeah. So, I mean, he can hit. And they already said that the Dodgers hitting instructors already found some stuff in him, and they're already working with him. So he's going to do – he's not – I don't think he's going to perform like he did in New York.
Right.
And I don't think he's a high average guy either. No. But I think he's gonna get his knocks. He's gonna be more of what we used to see in Joey Gallo. But yeah, I mean, I think just in New York it was just brutal for him, and I think that just got to his head. Like every time he went out there, like, we talk about like yips. I think it was a yips like kind of for a hitter, right? Like he just went up there and he knew, oh man, if I do something bad, if I strike out, they're gonna get on me, and it was probably just in his head. And now he gets the first start. Comes to LA. Much better town, the West Coast, obviously. So I think, if he gets the support out here from the fans, I think we're going to see a different Joey Gallo. And
it's a low risk, high reward deal. Straight up. It's a
Yes,
low risk,
I
high
like
reward
that.
deal.
And Sports Empire, booing separates the strong from the weak. They either have
Oh,
it
Sports Empire, you
or
fucked
they
up, bro.
don't.
You fucked up, bro.
What? That's like a bully thing, kind to like who says that?
Oh,
No, you don't kick people when they're down. Bullies do that, right? So dude is already down. He's like had it to here with again having to hide in your apartment because the people. Can I just say the last Dodger game I went to, there were Yankees fans, and it was when we lost to the Nationals. Yankees fans came to the game and they started heckling us as we were leaving the game, like, you guys are terrible. You can't even beat the last place national. And I was like, this is why. This is why I never want to be like Yankees fans. And now you're trying to say that booing separates the strong from the weak. No, 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 my friend. Do you need a hug, Sports Empire? Do you need a hug? I'll give you a hug for sure.
I will say this: there are some people, though, some players who strive on that kind of animosity, and if not, watch The Last Dance, where Michael Jordan is making up bullshit stories that he was disrespected just so he could find motivation. And then there are other people that just don't. I think you could probably say Broxton, former Dodger. I don't think he reacted well. Well, maybe it's because Matt Stairs ended his career, but
God damn it, Juan.
I mean, all I'm.
God damn it, Juan.
By the way, Sports Empire, I felt that too. I want to read his comment to Alicia. Damn, I felt like she was going to slap me from the screen.
No,
So,
she was going to come through and do some jujitsu we didn't even know
it's a
she
good
did.
thing this isn't 3D, huh, Sports
Yeah.
Empire?
That's what a bully would do. I wanted to hug you, Sports Empire. It's going to be all right. You don't have to boo
she's
people
lying.
when they're already.
But that being said, though, do you guys think I think Gallo is better defensively than Jake Lamb? But of the actual moves that the Dodgers made, getting Chris Martin, I think, is a move that helps the bullpen, right? The Gallo one was a little bit of a head scratcher, and I agree, Alonzo. It's got a high reward, but to me, if they would have kept Jake Lamb, I would have been okay with that.
Well, the head scratcher for me is trading Mitch White. That one was a bit of a head scratcher because of how openly high up they were with him. That was a bit of a head scratcher because if you can point out a weakness with the Dodgers, it's pitching, right? So that one was a bit of a head scratcher to me, but I agree. But if you needed the roster spot, so you had to move on from Jake Lamb.
Right, but you think that's what Mitch White was, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it just to free up space on the 40-man?
More or less, yeah. I mean, I get it, but I don't. At the same time, that one's interesting to me just because the Dodgers don't really. That's not a Dodgers move, I guess I should say.
What if they wanted a veteran presence? There are a lot of young players.
Right.
And if our guys that are like if our guys don't come back from injury and we have a bunch of younger players in there, maybe having an older guy in there helps.
No, you're right.
That's right there, the $1 million question, Alicia, and what I think this season is going to be remembered for. The guys that they're expecting to come back, what if they don't come back or they don't come back to form? And I'm talking about
slap you too, bro.
No.
I'm talking about, hey man, I know nobody wants to talk about it. I know everybody thinks and nobody here underperforms. We're going to just completely ignore the seasons that Mike Muncy or Cody Bellinger are having. That's baseball, okay? You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to do what you're supposed to do every year. Like, hey, what happened to Trey Turner in the postseason last year? I thought Trey Turner was going to completely rake in the postseason. And he had a horrible postseason.
That was weird.
And you're going to tell me, oh, well, Trey Turner sucks? No, he doesn't suck. He just had a bad postseason. I think it's unfair to expect that these guys coming back from injury, a.k.a. Max Muncy, to all of a sudden go back to the form that they're going to need to be at in the postseason. In the postseason, it's a completely different game. The intensity is up to here. So that's what I'm concerned about. I mean, let's get into it. We still got time. Kershaw going down. Now we're one less starting pitcher. Are you guys confident that we can rely on Gonsolin and Tyler Anderson in the playoffs?
Tyler
Not
Anderson,
not
I
not
think
the rest of the season.
Right,
What
In
right,
the
about
playoffs.
Urias? You got 3 right there.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I was going to say Tyler Anderson, yes. I think Tyler Anderson has convinced me that it's a yes. And the reason I say that is because after the All Star break, sometimes some guys get, because they took a few days off, whatever, the All Star hoopla, whatever, they're breaking the routine. Tyler Anderson came out and was lights out. So that for me, that's go. And then Julio Diaz. You have Julio Diaz, who I think established himself as probably the ace, if not 1A, 1B with him and Kershaw. Obviously, the Kershaw thing, that sucks. That absolutely sucks
And
because he's
we
been
don't know how
pitching out of his
serious,
mind.
right?
What was that?
We don't know how serious it is
No,
yet.
and I hope it's not serious. I mean, listen, I'm 36 and my back hurts just because. So I can only imagine. I can only imagine for a guy like that. Hopefully it's nothing major and it's a quick one. I will say this: I didn't get a chance to go see Dustin May pitch yesterday since he's here in my town. But all things considered, if he really needs one more start for a rehab start, he's okay, and I'm all for that. Granted, going from AAA pitching to major league pitching, situations obviously different, but based on like the videos that we've seen of his stuff, it's electric, and that's the Dustin May that everyone kind of knows and loves, right? So I'm not. But the Kershaw thing, though, I hope it's nothing serious. I really hope it's nothing serious because that would absolutely suck. Because he was kind of having, you know, he was having kind of a resurgence, if you will, right? Especially with all the injuries and all the stuff, and that just sucks. Alicia, go ahead.
Oh, are you saying because you're getting a Raider update?
Yes, because I don't care about the Raiders.
Thank you, Simeon. He's giving us a score update. Raiders 20, Jaguars 3.
Shout out to all the Jaguars fans, all three of them.
Ouch. Yeah, I just don't want to panic. We're all gonna wish, Kershaw a speedy recovery. Hopefully, it's something that his chiropractor could work out. I mean, I don't know if he sees a chiropractor. I'm just saying we shouldn't panic until we know exactly what's going on. I'm very comfortable with our 3 pitchers we just mentioned. We have other pitchers coming back. And I keep falling back to the Dodgers know what they're doing. I mean, I'm not gonna panic yet. I'm just gonna hope he gets better, and I'm gonna like ride on Urias's coattails because how long have we been saying like, dude, put some respect on his name, and he's earning it. Like he's doing so well. I'm really excited for him, happy for him. I mean, no one was even asking for him to be placed on the All-Star. He didn't have the exact numbers before the All-Star break, but he does now, doesn't he? So just keep that going, bro. Just keep that going.
Well, that's why I wanted to go to Alicia first because she remember last week when she was having a panic attack right here on this very show. So I wanted to see if her magnificent eyebrows were having a panic attack. Also, another name that we shouldn't disrespect either is Tony Gonsolin. Tony Gonsolin is granted the whole workload thing, whatever. At some point, he was going to have to get the workload in, regardless whether it was this year, next year, the year after, whenever. So I'm willing to ride that horse as long as it continues to be a relatively smooth ride, if that makes sense. But at some point, they said the same thing about Urias, right? That worked out okay. So I'm not overly worried about as far as that goes because at some point you have to do it. You have to unload the bullets one way or the other. Roger, how do you feel about the rotation?
So I think, losing Mitch White, I think is huge now.
You forgot to say the greatest 66 ever. You've been saying it.
I was getting at the greatest number 66 in Dodgers history. But to lose him now, not knowing what's going to happen with Kershaw, I think now we're going to see Pepio come back up.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see Miller. Bobby Miller's probably going to show up in the next couple of weeks. So I think that's what's going to balance it out if Kershaw's out, until September. Hopefully it might be just what he had earlier in the season. He was out 5 weeks, so another 5-6 weeks maybe, and we get him back at the end of September. Best case scenario, but if not, like I said, we'll probably see Pepio up again, and I think we'll see Bobby Miller this time around.
Hey, Babyface, if they bring up Pepio, this year they had the limit of the number of times that you can bring him up and send him down. What number would this be for Pepio?
I think he's already like at 3-4, right?
I think this would be 3.
So if they get to 5 with him, does that mean they have to keep him on the roster for the rest of the season?
They got to
Yes.
keep him or DFA him.
And DFA him, yeah.
Wow. So see, this is
That's why I
like,
think they're going to call it Bobby Miller and not Pepio, if I'm being honest.
look, I know that this is not, don't panic, and it's not a panic situation.
No.
But these are things that I think can show up later on, okay? Because you still have to take it easy with Heaney. Because Heaney's another ticking time bomb because you don't know what's going on with his shoulder, right? So what are they going to do come Kershaw's next spot in the rotation? They may bring up Pepio. What I'm concerned about is now you're going to be forced to using your bullpen. A bullpen who's already taxed, and now we are in August. We're getting to September. You guys love to trash him. I don't know if I can defend him anymore, but the Craig Kimbrell thing sooner or later is going to have to be addressed. Yes, they beat the Giants. I feel like the dude would all of a sudden a left-handed hitter comes up and he just can't seem to put hitters away. And do you want that going into the playoffs? So that's my concern is you're going to have starts between now and the end of the year where you have guys going 4 innings, and now you're going to have to use your bullpen 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're going to have to use them, more. And then by the time they get to the playoffs, we saw it last year. We saw guys get gassed. So that's what I'm saying is like, okay, on the surface, this injury, the Dodgers can survive it. They can survive it because they have such a big lead. But this kind of stuff, I feel, shows up then in the playoffs. No?
Well, let me ask you this. I asked this hypothetical to someone the other day that was crying about Craig Kimbrell. What should they do with Craig Kimbrell?
I really don't know because I know, Babyface, you had talked about like maybe we got to start looking at Evan Phillips to start closing games. Now the thing is, and we've heard this before, and Alonso, you could probably speak to this better because you're a pitcher. The mentality that you have to be a closer. Is that real? Is that a legitimate thing?
100%. I could never be a closer. There's no chance. You have to be borderline crazy.
So do we put Evan Phillips in that situation to see if he can handle it? And then what are you going to do? You're going to have Kimbrell there. Then all of a sudden, I think the same thing happened in Chicago last year with the White Sox. When they traded for Hendricks, then they moved Kimbrell to the 8th inning to be the setup man. And I don't think it improved his performance any.
I mean, I think what you do with Kimbrell is they're either gonna put him down, in low leverage situation, or they're gonna IL him to let him get in some work, and if you put someone like Phillips in there, I mean Phillips, the last 2 games he got out of some crazy situations. It was like bases loaded, no outs, and he got out like 2 times. So
Right.
Phillips has been the guy that he's kind of taken over maybe that Trinan spot.
Yeah.
Where you need to get those outs. That's who they're leaning on. It's Phillips.
Right.
So I mean, there's been calls. People want to see him start closing, but I think with Kimbrell, it's they got to just maybe start pitching him in the 6th and the 7th, this low leverage, go out there, get outs, or we're gonna hear he's on the IL for something and let him work.
How soon do you think that happens?
I mean, you would think it's gonna happen like real. I mean, yesterday and today. I mean, yesterday's game more. I mean, he almost gave that game away, and then today they got a double and then a wild pitch. I mean, that wasn't such a big deal today, but just it's consistent. Like he doesn't have a clean inning. It's just like he'll get 1 out, he'll
Right.
even get 2 outs, and then he'll get like 2 or 3 guys on.
Yeah.
So something's got to be done with him. He's got to get confidence too. I mean, we're going to be the middle of August.
Right.
You can't just all of a sudden. He needs to get that confidence again going into the playoffs if he's going to be the closer.
Yeah.
Alicia, you're the voice of positivity here. I know that baseball, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the closer stuff, all that stuff, the nerding out as you call it, isn't necessarily your specialty. But I'm just curious, since you're the Paula Abdul of the show, what do you think they should do with Craig Kimbrell?
I just listening to you guys just now. There's not much they can do. We've got to, write it out with the Dodgers. They brought him in for a reason. He's up there in talent. I don't know, like Babyface just mentioned, that the options are, minimal. It is August, I know, but I just hope that it all comes together when it's supposed to. Like you guys mentioned, some people thrive at booze, some people thrive, with cheers. Who knows what we're going to get? I mean, you brought up Trey Turner, Juan. The playoffs are a different beast, right? I'm
Yeah.
still confident, more confident in somebody who has that experience like Kimbrel than a newbie. I just am. So
Look, Trey Turner's performance last year in the playoffs surprised the hell out of me.
same.
And that kind of stuff, and this is why I'm just not confident. I know you guys love to call me the Prince of Darkness, but it's baseball, dude. None of this stuff makes sense. When stuff like this happens, you're like, of course this happened. I mean, look, when Joey Gallo got traded, all I saw from Yankee fan was like, Joey Gallo's going to hit a home run against us in the World Series to win a game.
Yeah, I saw that too.
These are guys, their team is in first place. They have an 11-game lead. They were crapping on this guy the whole time, the whole season. He gets traded, and they immediately go to the worst case scenario that Joey Gallo is going to come back and bite us in the ass. And look, I get that. That's called the Niedenfuhr effect. You people think it's all bullshit and I just make this shit up. I'm telling you, it's real because baseball is stupid and it doesn't make sense.
I didn't expect to hear a Tom Niedenfuhr reference today, but alas, here we are. Years of abuse.
I would have loved to ask Vin Scully what he really thought of Niedenfuhr.
Yeah, I don't think he would have said anything bad about the guy.
Does it say he
Wouldn't it be great if that was the one time he just went completely ghetto? And Vin Scully just sits there. Let me tell you about that stupid son of a bitch who gave up that home run.
Of all the times he could have shit on anybody, the
Right.
one time it's gonna be on Tom
that's
Niedenfuhr.
gonna
And to go back to your Michael K thing, Alonzo, Vin would never.
No.
Vin would never. If a Dodger player got traded like that, even if they asked him, I think you're right. Vin goes in the. I mean, the only person Vin really trashed was Mike Piazza. But hey, he deserved it,
Well, and listen, man, with Kimbrel, at this point, it's like you kind of look at everything, right? You look at his stats, you look at the upside, if you will. There's not a lot of other guys that have those stats, right? There's not a lot of other guys that you would want the ball in that situation. So, aside from maybe a Kenley Jansen, maybe a Josh Hader, that's about it, right? Like there isn't a whole lot of guys that it's a very short list that makes that list of guys. So, and that's a part of the reason the Dodgers brought him in. And if there's one thing that I absolutely trust about the Dodgers is guys that they bring in. They just don't bring guys in just to bring guys in. If that were the case, then Juan Soto would be a Dodger right now. So.
And before we forget, I just want to give a shout out to a guy who's actually quietly been pitching really well. And I'm not advocating, so don't at me. I'm not advocating that he should be the closer. I just want to acknowledge, because a lot of people crap on this dude, David Price has been pitching really well quietly.
I said last week that the dude quietly is doing the thing, and that's that veteran presence that the Dodgers need, right? Yeah. And he's doing it from the bullpen.
Yeah.
He's not asking to start. He's not crying and bitching and moaning that he's starting. He's quietly doing it from the pen and doing the veteran thing. Yeah. So, Alicia, to your point, ahí está el veterano.
Hey, veteranos all day. They're going to have to guide the youngsters. I'm very proud of David Price. He's doing his job. He's accepting his role. He's not asking for a lot in return, right? He's not a flashy dude. That's going to help, He's not asking for anything. Just that I'm here. I got one job to do, and he's doing it. So.
Well, go ahead. Well, and the other thing too is there's a lot of these dudes in the bullpen that are quietly doing what they're doing, and no one is like Alex Vesia. Alex Vesia is out there just throwing bombs, just crushing everyone, and no one is no one's even pointing it out. And that's another guy, right? And then when Evan Phillips, who the hell's Evan Phillips? Like there's a dude I talked to the other day. That big-time baseball fan is like, where the hell did you guys find Evan Phillips? It's like, dog, I said the same thing about Max Muncy, and here we are. Yeah. So if there's one thing the Dodgers are really good at figuring out is the Yency Almonte is another guy, right? Yency he's always had the stuff. They just had to refine it, and the Dodgers refined it. So if there's one thing I'm not overly worried about, it's the Dodgers figuring out what the hell to do with Kimbrel. And if anything, I think what it's showing Kimbrel, still putting him out in those high leverage situations. So no disrespect to Roger, but I think if you put a closer in a low leverage situation, that's going to backfire so hard on you. Like those dudes are not wired to operate like that. So you have to kind of keep putting him in the same situation. Yeah, that might piss off fans, but if a guy is the 1% of the 1% of closers, can't do that to him. So you got to keep him in those situations. And go ahead.
I just want to make sure, like, we're clear on what's bothering fans, right? It's that he doesn't have clean
Yeah.
outings. But I mean, he's getting the job done for the most part, correct?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I was looking at
spoiled we are. Like, we want like utter and total dominance all the time. We just want to like step on people's throats and don't let you know, and it's like, dude, we're winning. We've got this giant lead. Let's just hope everybody's healthy.
They need a pep talk. Sports Empire, you're right, man. They need the Macho Man. The Macho Man should go up to Craig Kimbrel and talk to him like the way he confronts Hogan.
Yeah. And he goes, "You have lusted your eyes for Elizabeth. You can't come to me, man to man, to challenge me for the belt. No, you make me sick. I hate you from the bottom of my heart."
So follow-up question, who's cringing harder, Wendy or your daughter?
They're all upstairs, but you know.
It's for the best.
He has lust in his eyes for Elizabeth. He always has, because he can't come to me, man to man, to challenge me for the belt.
I'll say this in the defense of Craig Kimbrel. He pitched in the World Series last in 2018 against the Los Angeles Dodgers. His ERA in that World Series was 4.15. My man doesn't have clean innings. My man isn't a lights out like Mariano Rivera, should we say, right? But he gets the job done. Because what did they do in that World Series? They won the damn thing. So for me, it's if you know what you're getting out of that guy, and you're still going to get the wins, like Alicia says, I don't give a damn if it's a perfect or an immaculate inning, or if you still, give up 2 hits, but you get the dub. And that's all that matters.
Alonso, do you remember in the World Series when Jansen blew that game, how everybody lost their fucking mind?
Including
I was the first one. Yeah. Can you imagine what would happen if Kimbrel did that in the playoffs?
Alicia's going to fight so many people that day. She's going to, because how are you booing Craig Kimbrel to his face? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be brutal. But you know what? If that happens and they win the World Series, will it matter at that point?
That's true.
Because they won the damn World Series, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Before we
Simeon, I can't do Hogan because I hate that guy.
He hates Hogan.
Yeah, I just won't do it out of principle because that guy is he's a mooch. Ask Scott Steiner, excuse me.
A mooch. Wow. Fighting words.
Yeah.
If there's anyone that's going to slap anyone, I think Juan might slap Hogan tonight.
Yeah, Hogan will never come on this show because I have a black friend. So.
Whoa.
What?
Alonso caught that reference. So.
He took it there.
Yeah, I went there.
All right. Well, as we wrap this guy up, again, we'll tease it real quick. Monday, it's going to be a really special show. It's going to be a tribute to the one and only Vin Scully. I said it before. I'll say it again. I'm really excited about some of the guests that we're going to have on. And I hope that Juan cries. That's my goal. I'm going to try to get Juan to cry. And
you know what? I might. I have to say, like, when I got home from the movie theater and I was watching the Spectrum thing, I was still crying.
Yeah,
like, Wendy kept looking at me going, "Why are your eyes all red?" I was like, "Shut up. You don't know anything."
I have allergies.
Yeah, I have allergies.
Give me a Benadryl.
But as the days have progressed, it's gotten easier. But I don't know. Talking about him again, it may bring up some feelings.
The reason.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm on a little bit of a delay. My Wi-Fi sucks. I'm sorry. I'm looking forward to it because I had a bunch of random people I do TV and radio stuff with that I've never talked baseball with or I've never talked the Dodgers with that reached out and asked how I was doing, but then they also kind of shared their story. And you don't realize the impact that Vin Scully had. Like just a wide range of, like one of the dudes, shout out to the homie Bill Riley. He's the voice of the Utes, and we work together. He is a diehard Royals fan and was one of the first people that reached out. And even he gave me kind of an anecdote, and then he also was jealous that we have Joe Davis. So it's one of those, like, you don't realize it, I guess, until it's gone, type of thing. And even then, a lot of the stuff that we saw, like the 2016 tribute to him, when all the guys came up and were like tipping their caps to him and stuff.
Yeah.
I had completely forgotten about that. When I saw that, I was like, "Ay, por qué?" Like it was like it hurt. And then Yasiel Puig, his post,
Yeah.
that one, I have a pain in my chest. I can't breathe.
I don't know if you guys got. I know Alicia, and I want to hear from Alicia. Your hair looks great. Is that
Give him one.
the number of people that reached out to me? Some of them were Dodger fans, but other of them weren't. They were just like baseball fans. But they knew that I was a Dodger fan, and I think what it is they knew that this was going to affect me differently than it affected them. Did you guys get any of that?
I'm sorry. It's gonna affect. Say that again.
Like that it affected you. If you have friends who aren't Dodger fans, did any
Right.
of them reach out to you because they knew that the death of Vin Scully was going to mean something different to
Yes.
you as opposed to them? That surprised me, the number of people that reached out to me.
I wasn't surprised. Vin is at that level. There isn't. Alonso, like with respect, like you brought up Kobe, and that was like devastating and loss, and probably because he was so young and that shouldn't have happened. But
Yeah.
Vin Scully is like,
Next level.
you guys love stats, right? Baseball nerds, right? Like numbers.
Nerds!
Nerds. The number of times that we let Vin Scully into our homes was double that of Chick Hearn. Was
100%.
double that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
baseball season is so long, and this is before DirecTV and all that. You can when we bring up that he is the voice of our childhood, it really does mean something.
Yeah.
It's when people talk about fireside chats, that's a broadcasting thing, right? Like, I had no idea what that means. Now I do. His voice is comforting. It's more than just baseball. It was kind of like, and people that lived here, people I went to school with that left, they know just from living here briefly what Vin means to this city, to, of course, to baseball and sports and broadcasting. He's the GOAT. But I'm just saying, as somebody that was treated like a family member, and again, generationally, I mean, my daughter cried, and she doesn't even watch sports like she did growing up with us. It's Vin Scully. It's that kind. It's like grandpa, like Babyface mentioned earlier. I saw a lot of that on Twitter. Did you see that one? Like,
Yeah.
we lost grandpa. I feel like I lost my Theo. Like, he's a family man. And this crosses all like ages, race, neighborhoods. Vin Scully. I mean, who has that power? Tell me one other person.
No?
You know that meme? You know that meme of the blood and the Crip guy that are holding their flags together?
Yes, yeah.
That's what losing Vin is. Like, it brings everyone together to be like, okay, like we like to talk about it. And I personally, and I know Roger's looking forward to it because Roger talked about it on for those of you that don't know, Babyface runs our Twitter. Going to Norms in Alhambra, as a kid, coming home, watching the game. I mean, I can't even speak for you on your behalf, Roger. Go ahead and say what you're going to say.
No, I mean just that's like just ingrained in my head of like what growing up was like as a kid, right? Like we'd go and then we end up at Norm's in Alhambra like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, have a late breakfast, go home, and you turn on the TV and it was Vin Scully. It was a picture that I showed. It was Vin Scully, Jerry Doggett, and Ross Porter. That's what you'd see on TV like all the time, and that's just like like cool. The game's on Channel 11, cool. So you put it on, right? And that's kind of just like, that's like, you tell me one memory from your childhood, that's like just what sticks in my head, So that, it's just like, it's like I said, like my entire life, from the moment I knew what baseball was or whatever, I'm watching games, this man was on my TV,
Sports
Would you
Empire.
like to try some Dodger trivia? It's a shout out to Ross Porter.
There it
everybody.
is. There it is.
Go ahead, Alonzo. What you were gonna?
To Sports Empire, you had a question. Is Monday going to be live or pre-recorded? It will be pre-recorded, only because we have more than one guest, so that's why. But we do want you guys to chime in. please share whatever stories, whatever even if you cried like Juan and I did, and we just pretend like we didn't cry. Go ahead and say that too. It was the allergies. It was the tumbleweeds.
Well, Princess Del Valle cried. She just didn't want to admit it. She made me admit it first.
What I'm pissed about is you guys went to a movie and didn't invite me. So fuck you guys for starters, because we weren't at the same theater. Lies, slander.
Trust me. Wait, what movie did you see?
Yeah, what you guys see?
Nope.
Yeah, I saw where the crawdads sing. So trust me, we were not in the same movie theater.
But I'm looking.
Highly recommend Nope, by the way.
If you're a kid, I highly recommend Crawdads where the Crawdads sing.
I was low key hoping you were like, oh, I went to go watch the new Minions movie.
Oh, I like the Minions.
But stay tuned for Monday. It's gonna be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. But let's do our predictions real quick. So Juan, you have the tally. How did last week go?
Okay, let's go ahead and do a recap. Nobody won.
And I'm pissed about last week.
Because nobody
Thanks to Juan. Thanks to Juan. He just messed it up.
How is it Juan's fault?
Nobody had the
he comes in with
Dodgers.
his doom and gloom, and he gets it in my head, and so forget it. I'm not listening to anything Juan says anymore.
So
I'm
what
going
you're
with my
saying
gut.
is Juan Toribio and Juan Ramirez both got in your head for the wrong reasons, and here we are now. You've made bad decisions. The first one was listening to guys named Juan.
So nobody had the Dodgers going 7-1. Okay. And I will go ahead and own up to it. I was the guy that said the Dodgers would go 3-5. I was the one that was expecting a horrible road trip. Okay.
In your defense, though, they were playing in Colorado.
Thank you. Not even our listeners came close. Efren had them going 6-2. So he missed it by one. And then Frank and Simeon, I'm sorry, but you guys were doomed the minute Babyface went 5-3. So I said it to you guys last week. My condolences to you guys.
They were spot on.
We'll have you guys chime in with your picks. Just some advice. You probably want to wait until Babyface makes his picks, and then you guys should put yours in.
We were actually closer than you guys. So how are we doomed?
All I'm saying is perhaps in the same spirit of Dylan Hernandez, perhaps I motivate the Dodgers to play well.
Calm down.
Have you ever thought about that?
Calm down.
Have you ever thought the sacrifices I make, humiliating myself on this program to try to motivate the team that I love? That's how much I love them. I'm willing to sacrifice for them.
Thanking you. I get it.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the reason I'm not
your
gonna-
eyebrows are gift enough. Thank you very much.
The reason I'm not going to thank
Alicia,
you
don't let him fool you. You're falling for it. Don't let him fool you.
the reason I'm not going to agree with you is because this isn't a bit. This is really you. That's my favorite part. It's not a bit. What were mine and Alicia's picks? Because I honestly don't remember.
So you had them 4-4,
Okay.
and then Alicia was doomed by Babyface too. Alicia and Babyface both went 5-3. So let's just update the standings on the year. So in first place is the guy who doesn't know anything about baseball and is just a hater, myself, with 7 points. Then Alonso has 6, Alicia has 6, Roger has 4, and our listeners have 2. So our listeners are in the ball game. So let's go ahead. So we're playing 5 games next week. 3 against the Show Pads, and then 2 against the Twins of Minnesota.
Okay. Go ladies first. Alicia, go ahead.
So 5 games.
See.
Yes.
I'm gonna be super confident and go 4-1.
4-1. Alonzo?
Go boys.
I'm also going to go 4-1.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm going to go with 2-3.
Jesus, bro. What? ¿Por qué? Explain.
I will explain. I don't like the pitching matches against the show pods. And Sports Empire agrees with me, all right?
Now, real quick, when you're on that, Juan, the pitching matchups against the show pods.
Yes.
Manea versus Gonsolin. Who's having a better season? Gonsolin.
Have you seen Gonsolin's last few starts?
Wow.
Next game, Clevenger against Heaney. Heaney's, small.
That's
small
the one
sample
game I
size,
think they're going to win.
Small sample size, but he's been pitching really well. Third game, Darvish against Anderson. Who's having a better season? Anderson.
And for the record, that's going to be the best game of the series, in my humble opinion.
And
Have you
Darvish
seen
doesn't
how
own the Dodgers?
earlier this season, Darvish didn't look good against the Show Pods, but other than that, Darvish has pitched well against the Show Pods. And what I haven't heard you say, Babyface, is how amped the Show Pods are going to be to come into Dodger Stadium. Friday night, the Dodgers are going to be emotional because you don't know what they have planned for the Scully tribute.
Yeah.
And the Show Pods are not the San Francisco Giants.
You're burying the lead.
The Dodgers aren't going to be amped too. They know what the Padres did. They talked about it. They said they got better. They know exactly what's coming into town.
How did the Dodgers play against the Show Pods in the beginning of last year? Weren't the Show Pods
I
playing
don't
those
care
games
about
like
last
that?
year? How are the Dodgers playing right now?
Juan,
How are they playing right now? The last month and a half. How have the Dodgers been playing?
Did not work out. So like the beginning of last year doesn't count. It didn't do when it mattered. Like the
Juanito.
beginning of last year is
Juanito,
Yeah.
Vin Scully just died. Don't you
Yes.
think that they're just going to fuck everything up, bro?
In the words of Vin Scully, the man I think who knew the Dodgers better than anyone, in the history of the Dodgers, has anything come easy to them?
No, but at the same time, they're not. They're not. There is no chance that they're not. Not win for Vin, bro.
The
Come on.
Padres just lost.
I mean,
right?
If that was the case, why didn't they win the World Series in 2017?
Because the Astros cheated.
Thank you. Did you forget that part?
But the powers of Vin Scully wouldn't have overpowered that.
Because they were cheating.
Did Juan do a heel turn, or has this always been Juan?
This is a John Cena heel turn right now.
We'll see.
Guys, Juan is staying true to character. So
Oh yeah, 100%.
if this is going to keep the Dodgers playing the way they are, then we don't want Juan to stop being Juan.
That's also a great point from
Because
a
it's
risk
worked out for
assessment.
the Dodgers.
This is what I'm saying. Tyler Anderson is having a good season. He also gave up 5 runs to a weak San Francisco Giants offense in 1 inning. Is the Padres offense the same as the Giants?
No. I mean, listen, no.
So we should say that then about today, that the Padres gave up 6 runs to the
I was
Rockies.
gonna say
What I
that.
was going to say.
And it was Musgrove.
Yeah, I mean,
So
they're
what I'm saying is a good pitcher can have a bad outing,
100%.
right?
I mean, this offense is leaps and bounds better than the Giants, but at the same time, these dudes also just joined the damn team. Like, you got to give it some time. Like, you can't expect Soto to just go, hey, and do Robbie Cano in 2009. Like, that's not how that works, man.
Look, either way, I'm going to be damned if I do or damned if I don't. Because if they end up going 2-3, Babyface is going to hate me for somehow being right, and it was my fault.
Philip just has the comment of the night. Philip, I think we should send him a shirt. Juan is still stuck in 2017.
Whatever,
No,
dude.
he's stuck
Philip
in
is still
19
stuck in 1983, last
No,
time the
you're-
Raiders
you're-
won the Super Bowl.
You're stuck
You
in
are too.
85. You're stuck in 85.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am stuck in 85, so get it right, Philip. It's not 2017, it's 1985. That's the one that hurt my feelings.
Oh, man. Roger, what's your prediction?
I'm going to say they're going to go 4-1. I mean, yeah.
You almost went 5-0, didn't you?
No, I'm giving the Padres that they'll probably get 1 game. But I mean, I expect it to be a good series, and it could go either way. Like I said, it could go either way. And if the Padres would win 2 out of 3, I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, the Padres are the team to beat. I mean,
Which is what I said, Alonso. I said the Padres are going to, but me
That's why I'm
saying
not-
that the Dodgers are going to lose 2 out of 3, I'm out of my mind. What are you talking about?
No, but
but
I'm
if
not-
he says it, it's
no,
okay.
I'm not saying they're going to win, but I'm saying if they would, I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, like I said, it's the end of the world. I don't think the Padres are going to win 2 out of 3. I think the Dodgers are going to take 2 out of 3, and then they're going to sweep the Twins. Even though the Twins are the first place team, but in the Central or whatever, I don't think it's a strong division. Dodgers should take care of business.
This is the heel turn I didn't expect. In alas, is Vince Russo with you by chance? For those of you that don't know who Vince Russo is, including Alicia, that's who wrote the NWO. That's how that started.
Alicia's just like,
What the hell's the NWO?
Yeah, what is this?
Right?
It is.
New World Order.
Hey, see, she's been on YouTube.
I'm learning.
See?
I want to be able to discuss this with you guys, and everybody seems to love wrestling.
Why do you say it like that? That we've been
I know,
complimenting
right?
your hair and your eyebrows, and then you go out and disparage wrestling? What the hell, man?
I just didn't know, eh? Now
I think it's incredible that Roger just said the same shit that Juan just said, And
No, I didn't, because Juan actually thinks that the Padres are going to win 2 out of 3. I said if they would happen to win 2 out of 3. Juan actually thinks they're going to win 2 out of 3.
do you really think they're going to win 2 out of 3, Juan? Sincerely.
Yeah, I think there's a possibility. I think it's a toss-up. Look. Do you guys think Gonsolin is pitching right now the same way he was pitching? Now, mind you, he had some bad luck in the Nationals game, so he wasn't really hit hard. In the All-Star game, he was hit hard against elite guys. The Show Pods have elite guys. You don't think he could have bad luck in a game too?
Baseball ebbs and flows. You talked about that. And
Exactly.
right now, and he's on a downward ebb. But you know what? It's August, man. Like,
Look, all I'm saying is this. I'm playing with house money. If
Right.
the Dodgers win 2 out of 3, fantastic. I'm okay with owning up to my picks. I'm not going to blame anybody else and say, hey, why did you make me pick
Because
this?
you're putting it out there already. You're putting those bad vibes into
the irony.
Let me
in
tell
that,
you,
though-
if what I do affects the Dodgers, then they have no chance of ever winning.
Thank you. So then you can't tell me that I'm jinxing the game when I'm telling you, hey, so-and-so
There it
in a
is.
good game.
that's what I was
Thank you.
hoping would come out.
You just said it.
The underlying issue. I was hoping it'd come out, and there it is. But also, in your defense, Juan, you've been saying the same shit about the Raiders since 1983, and here you are.
That's true, but they beat the Jaguars. They beat the Jaguars, and they're going to be the preseason champs.
Shout out to the homie Devin Lloyd. I hope he hit every Raider that he hit tonight as hard as he possibly could. Well, we're going to go ahead.
Eric Hernandez, any shocker the Padres sweep? Do we have an infiltrator? Are you
Hold
from
on.
San Diego, Eric?
Hey, show me your phone number, fool. Like, what's it, 619? I don't. Listen, the Padres should be good. They should be good. I've said it 100 times. Their pitching's legit. They should be good. They've just not performed. And also, they've been a victim of injuries too, right? Tatis and all those freak injuries. Either way, I mean, they added Juan Soto. They added Josh Hader. They added Drury. They went out and made the moves, right?
Yeah, hey, look, Eric, I don't think it's that crazy because I was old enough to remember when the Pirates came into Dodger Stadium and swept the Dodgers. Or when the Nationals came into Dodger Stadium and won 2 out of 3.
Dog, Alicia's going to choke you out.
But we're not supposed to lose to those teams.
Yeah.
We're supposed
Supposed to
to
lose.
the Padres. There's a difference. One is not the other. We've talked about the Dodgers not getting up for the less than teams.
Right.
The Padres are no longer a less than team, so they're going
True.
to be up for it.
That's
It's
a
not
fair
the
point.
same as the Pirates and the Nationals. I mean, those are those fluke games. All great teams do them, even in football. No one goes undefeated. You lose to teams that you're not supposed to lose to.
CC, the Patriots.
I know I keep bringing this up, but you guys love numbers. The last 8 at bats that Soto had against the Dodgers, he was limited to 2 hits, couple of strikeouts. There's a walk in there. I am not worried about Soto, and they just got together, like Alonso said. They're gonna need some time to gel, and hopefully it never happens like the Lakers.
And how soon how soon before Soto and Tatis and Machado are fighting each other, right? So
I don't even think that's a thing. Like, honestly, I don't even think that's a thing, bro. Like, at the end of the day,
We've got 3 Dominican brothers on the team.
like, they're going to
but
party
Machado
together.
and Tatis last year wanted to choke each other out. So
But also,
Let's be present.
yeah. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, the Padres did what they had to do, but the Dodgers' objective is what? To win a championship.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Padres at this point would be stoked to win a wild card, right? Like, they would be elated. But the Dodgers, Eric Carroll said it best on this very show. You look at the Dodgers roster, sick. They're getting into the playoffs. The next step is what? To win the pennant. That's where the Dodgers are at. The Padres have to win that. They're 12 back, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, they're 12 and a half, actually.
Oh, 12 and a half.
Get
There
it
you go.
together real quick then, huh?
Yeah. So again, that's unless the Dodgers cataclysmically fail and fall on their faces, everyone gets hurt, and they just have terrible series, which obviously they're doing fine still because they just swept the Giants. The likelihood of that isn't there, right? But the Padres are good. Cool. They're good. But the Dodgers know the task at hand. By the way, the loss I have, it's the last game against the Twins. I don't even have them losing to the Padres.
Oh.
I like that.
Because that's the game that should have been a Kershaw start.
Yep. There you go. See, my man's reading through the lines. Well, if you
That's
think,
right.
go ahead. Well, we're gonna end the thing. Real quick, Bet Online presented the show. If you want to go bet on any of the games that we just talked about, like we just did, betonline.ag. Use our promo code, which is Believe50, BLEAV50, and you will receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Huge shout out to BetOnline for presenting this week's episode. 626 from Eric Hernandez.
See that?
Yeah. I mean, that's also Juanito's hood too. So I mean, the devil's advocate over here, trying to start stuff. But you know what? That's good content, so I'll take it.
That's right.
Thanks for hanging out with us, Eric. Thank you, everybody, for joining in.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Philip, even though you're still stuck in 1983, I don't know how you're watching this if you're stuck in 83. That's awkward, but whatever. But if you're not following any of us, the ticker shows are all of our handles on the socials for Instagram, Twitter, whatever, how all that stuff works. Go follow us. We love to chat with you guys. Send us your predictions. Chime in. Let us know how you feel about Juan's heel turn, and we'll go from there. But on that note, go Dodgers, and we will catch you on the next one. See you.